Hello and welcome to Scarlet Serpent readings. Thank you so much for joining me in today's Timeless Pick a Card reading. It's actually a viewer request and I thought it was an excellent idea. So it's actually what chords do you need to cut and how can you cut those chords? So yeah, I'm just going to go straight into pile selection. We have 3 piles for this reading. Pile 1 is going to be this. I'm going to just read it and I'll have I'm going to have pictures of these cards because they're difficult to see. So this first one says Get Creative. Pile 2 is the Destruction card. And pile 3 is the Shadow. Alright, so I'm going to leave the cards up on the screen for a second. If you need some more time to select a pile, you can do so. Pause the video now. Otherwise, you can go down to the description, of course, and select your pile. So I'll see you at your reading. Hi, pile 1. If you chose Get Creative, this is going to be your reading. What chords need to be cut and how can you cut them? It's not focusing right now. But this card is Get Creative, and the card that you selected actually has to do with how you can cut the chords. So I'll get into this a little bit later. It's going to be, I think, integrated together. We're going to see how it goes. So integrated by that, I mean what the chords are and how you can cut them kind of together. And I have another oracle here, but I just want to say thank you for watching, for your support, yeah, the subscriptions and likes and comments. I love them and I'm very grateful for you. So, okay, this is what needs to be cut, what chord needs to be cut. And it says Crossing the Threshold. Interesting that we have creativity along with that as the how. So I feel like I think some people who would have clicked this reading might have gone in thinking this had to do with a specific person, but in this case it feels like this chord has to do with a mindset more so than anything. It could be like an ancestral pattern or a family, just a way of thinking that surrounds you that doesn't serve you, and you're meant to blossom and fly through that and go after the mountain. So this has a lot to do with creativity, personal growth, and fulfillment. And I look forward to seeing how you can cut this, although it says Get Creative, but we'll just get a little bit more on what chords need to be cut, but it feels pretty straightforward. Okay, that could have been the whole reading, honestly. What chords need to be cut? Maybe one more? Yeah, there's a lot of battling, fighting. And then with the number 5, I guess that makes sense. We have 9 of Wands, 10 of Cups, and 5 of Wands. And I think part of this has to do with the idea of what success means. And we have the 3 of Pentacles. It came out in reverse, so I'll just leave it like that. An unwillingness to work towards others, or with others, I should say. So maybe you prefer being independent and you feel as though, like, I even see that here with this card. This person is walking in solitude towards the mountain. So I think there's this part of you that feels like you have to do it alone, you know? Whatever this is, whatever you wanted to achieve. It could be like going back to school, or starting a business, or buying a house. Whatever it is, you feel kind of exhausted and that you can't rely on other people. And I think that might be the chord that needs to be cut, is bringing your past with your present to your present moment. I mean, even this 10 of Cups, I don't know, the figure here, the lady, looks a little sad, like she's leaving that spirit friend that she has. Let me know what you think in the comments, but like afraid to let go of this friend, even though the cups are there with Pisces, and there's a lot of love there, and I think part of this might have had to do with betrayal in love. So we have the 9 of Wands, and then we have the 5 of Wands here. So 5 goes with the crossing the threshold card, which just shows the cord that needs to be cut has to do with holding on to struggle, almost. Holding on to struggle, holding on to the idea that you have to sacrifice a lot to get to where you want to go. And then we have the 3 of Pentacles at the bottom. And I think that has to do with the tendency to want to work alone, to feel like it has to be done on your own, even if this means trusting in your spirit teams, trusting in spirit. But I think, I don't know, I think this has to do with letting people in, you know? Letting people in. I could even see this as a gate to your palace. You're opening that gate for others to come in. And I feel as though if you've felt a lack of success in some area of your life, or that things aren't moving as quickly as you feel they should, that has to do with a wall that you've created around people, you know. It's like carrying heartbreak, carrying defeat, and kind of latching on to that defeat and bringing it with you to the present again. Yeah, I'm not going to clarify these, actually. Let's get another row of tarot that says, how can you cut this cord? So this mostly has to do with a mindset. And I think what's interesting is that because we have 2 cards, right, with fire, and the get creative cards. So this blockage has to do with your solar plexus, which isn't too surprising considering most of the time the cords are connected to the solar plexus. And so I think your emotional turmoil has dwindled to your fire, and it's really about rekindling that fire so that you can have the inspiration to, like the card suggests, get creative and move forward. Because I think once you have that fire going, it's almost as if the cords of self-doubt will dissolve, you know? But let's get another row just to see how you can cut these cords. We have the Hermit, the High Priestess. So already 2 major arcana. That time in solitude, but I don't think it's interesting as that not letting people in or let people in. But I think this has to do with a reflection of the self, and I think this is deliberately going into past events, like meditating and reflecting on the past, and just being there as a witness to what has happened and actively letting it go, or just I feel like crying would help for some of you, or just being angry, whatever the feeling is that you didn't allow yourself to feel at that moment. Give yourself the space and freedom to feel that during meditation or during reflection. Again, I could just be walking or in a car ride. Of course, if you have to cry, pull over. But it has to do with going back to what made you feel exhausted, what made you feel like you had to fight. And I think there's a few different events, which might be why we get the Hermit and the High Priestess. And then we have Temperance. So if you're watching this palette, I think this is a big thing that needs to happen for you. And I think through dissolving these cords, that's a big stepping stone to the next phase of your life. So if you felt stuck, I think this is a big part of that. And I think it's a big part of, with Temperance, not only alchemizing the pain and sorrow that you felt through the disappointment of others, but in managing expectations, having a vision, but allowing that vision to be flexible, for real life to be flexible. So, sorry, I didn't show you any of the cards. This is the Hermit. Look, she's crying there. I didn't even look at the card. And so I guess that's confirmation about possibly crying, reflecting, looking in the past. But you do have a guide there. We have the High Priestess. There's a previous reading where I mentioned kind of dancing rituals, so that might be helpful, especially with these two together. As you release this tension, this pain, give yourself space to be free and wild at the same time. So with the example of the car, if you're crying in the car, you could also, once that's finished, allow yourself to cry fully, immerse yourself in those feelings, and then it's time for karaoke or dancing or something like that to shift that energy, and that has a lot to do with the alchemizing here. And through that process, I think your solar plexus will open up, will really blossom like the flower, and that creative fire within you will just catapult you to the next phase, to the next level, the next stage of your life. And then we have phases and moon, impermanence, enlightenment, cycles. Yeah, impermanence feels big there, right? Cycles, we have High Priestess, Temperance, Ten of Cups, lots of Pisces energy. So I just want to show you this. People come into your life for the amount of time they need to be there, so you could grow and learn from them, from the pain, become stronger because of it. And so I think this pile is very emotionally, I guess, capable. Is that the word? I don't know. I want to say that word, actually. Capable. Phases, moon, impermanence, enlightenment, and cycles. And I think the cycles have to do with the ups and downs. You've gone through the downs, so I think like just that mental shift would be helpful too. Is okay, I can expect things to get better, even if they haven't yet. That's just part of the ebb and flow of life. And I think this, meditating, Hermit usually has, even though it's Virgo, it has the moon in it, or at least a star in it. And then we have, of course, the High Priestess. So I think doing this meditation, sorry, it's actually the full moon today, and the day I'm recording this. So I don't know. That might just be like a lunar energy that you could work with. That it might be the most beneficial when you have that amount of energy to release it. It might be easier to release in a full moon, in other words, than it would be during any other time. And you can even see through different phases, like if you were to take a whole lunar phase and kind of write out what this is, part of the heartbreak, part of whatever, journaling, something like that, and then kind of log with the phase of the moon that it's in, and maybe take note of mental shifts. But as I said, especially with this, there's a strong connection between your emotional state of being and your creativity and your fire. And so if your water isn't calm, then you're not going to be as creative or willing to be creative, or you might not have the energy to be creative. And that's why you feel exhausted. Not because necessarily you're doing much, because I think that's something you get a lot with the Nine of Wands, is that you're doing a lot, you're exhausted, and that can be the case. But it can also just be like you could be doing absolutely nothing, not exercising, or just not having a very full schedule and still feel exhausted. And that's because there's, I guess, emotional baggage that needs clearing. And once that's clear, you won't feel this way anymore. So yeah, I hope this reading was helpful. Fairly short, 13:13 by the way. So but yeah, hopefully it was helpful. Please let me know in the comments what you think. And thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, pile 3. If you chose the destruction card, this is going to be your reading on what cords do you need to cut, what chords need to be cut for you, and how you can cut them. And this destruction card actually has to do with how you can cut the chords. So we'll see what this is all about in a little bit. I want to thank you for your support and for watching, of course, and I think this is going to be more of a rapid reading because pile 1 went pretty quickly. But the card that came up, I have an oracle card, and it's like what chords need to be cut. And actually it's kind of the opposite of pile 1. So we have romantic. I have to be careful with love readings and things like that, because I don't want to say automatically if you're in a relationship you need to end it because I don't know. But for some of you, if there is like an ex, especially one that follows you, or wants to reach out every once in a while, or if you find yourself thinking about an ex, that could be them thinking about you, and that kind of quantum entanglement, if you will, is going on. So it's kind of asking you to completely dissolve the chords, dissolve communication if that's something that you don't want, to be very direct and clear about the fact that you have no longer want anything to do with them. And that could be difficult because, there are people who stalk, unfortunately. And so just doing everything you can to, be careful of what you post, the viewing settings, the privacy settings, things like that, but also this could have to do with even emails, old notes, old photos, things like that. If you really want this energy to be gone, it's just completely wiping that away, from like empty the trash, or even if there's like articles of clothing, so like a very strong, I'll say, like a very big cleansing, just because this destruction card it's big and bold. And I think that might be what you need if you have someone energetically with the chords, especially with energetic chords. I think something like meditation with Archangel Michael, and doing that regularly, not just one time, but like every day. And I think over time you start to notice a shift in your energy. And I don't know if this is my bias, but if this is a romantic partner, it just feels like an unbalanced Scorpio energy that... Alright, I'll tell you. It's like every partner I've had has been a Scorpio, and it's been like a pattern of just that latching on. So I could feel for you on that one if that's the case. But let's get some more tarot just to clarify kind of like what chords need to be cut, and then we'll pull some more cards as to how you can cut these chords. Because this could alternatively be kind of what it means to be in a relationship, what your expectations are for a relationship. Jeez. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I'm smiling, but like this is intense energy here. I'm not gonna pretend that it isn't. So if this doesn't resonate, I suggest looking for another pile, or because we have the Tower, the Devil, and then the Empress. I think the Empress is interesting because I think that's your energy that you might attract these other types of dark energies, or unbalanced counterparts into your life. Whoops. I'll take that one on the floor. Oh, there's two. Darn. Ace of Cups and Page of Pentacles. don't know what that's about. So I'll clarify these two. Two of Swords. So maybe for some of you, and then we have the Fool. Right. Yeah, that's clarifications for what I was going to say. So this reading might be a bit longer than pile 1. Oh, I should show you the cards, but wait. It feels like for some of you, either you or your partner or people that you've been with, like the butterflies that you get with a new partner, you know, with that new love, and there might be an addiction to it. And that could be, if you've noticed that pattern with people you've been with, that's what that's about, you know. There's a lot. I'm sorry. Here. So let me just show you the cards in the meantime. We have the Tower. What cords need to be cut? The Tower. I think that's the first part of it, is when things fall apart, it's for divine reasons, especially in relationships, because you might not see the full picture that Spirit does. And I think with the Empress is that Spirit is looking out for you. And it can be extremely difficult because maybe like your opposition or whatever this is comes across as very charming. And I think that because you're the Empress, you know, you're drawn to this charm. But I think your spirit guide can see past it. And so if you feel like, if you feel like you keep attracting the same exact partner, it's because from one of these relationships or all of them, there's that residual kind of energy that needs to be completely dissolved and obliterated. And if you find yourself frustrated that you can't maintain a relationship, it's just based on the cards, you know. And what I'm getting is that it's actually been a good thing, because in some way they're just kind of sucking on your life force, you know. And I think they're just drawn to this Fool energy that you have, and Empress. So in other words, you have a lot of powerful energy, powerful, loving, nurturing energy, very carefree and very closely connected to Spirit. And I think if there's anything you can count on is your Spirit team being by your side, even if it feels as though, again, like for some reason relationships have been difficult, or you know, you can't find either a faithful or loyal partner, or that can even go for friendships too, you know. All of these people are coming and going to your life, but and I don't think this is, well, it could be for some people that it's like intentional, malicious intent, and this could be, I'm getting like ancestral, so this might not even have to do with you're experiencing in your lifetime now, definitely, but this could be something that's come from past lives. Yeah, more so than ancestral, this is more of like your past lives. So that's why the destruction card is here, is when, you know, the Tower's there, it's really your spirit team, the divine, trying to detach you from this devil energy, which is very seductive, as a romantic would be. And especially if you are Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, this could be very enticing, you know. And I think that might be why it's so difficult to cut these cords, like notes and messages and things like that. But I'm gonna get a different card, actually. Okay, so part 2 is how you're gonna cut them. I'm gonna do an extra part for this pile, and I think I have to do it now before I forget, because I will forget, because my memory is horrendous. All right, so no. All right, what would happen if you cut these cords? What would happen? What would happen if you cut these cords? You have the Hierophant. I'm just gonna keep this card and continue on, but it feels like, look at this. I saw these two keys as scissors up top, and I don't know if it's just me, but while the finger gesture is like this, I could almost see it as like this, you know. But the biggest thing here is faith in the divine. I think that's a big thing, actually, is once you've cut the cords, you'll realize fully that all that's happened, all the falling apart, and that has actually been for your benefit. And I think that'll give you a lot of faith, a lot of extra strength, and trust in your spirit team. And I just felt, wow, like a wave of gratitude and confidence in knowing that even in things unseen, or you know, hidden forces or things like that, you know, and not necessarily, I don't want to say like demons or dark spirits, but people, you know, people with their bad intentions, or even their subconscious tendencies and addictions. Like, you have a team that could see past it, see through everything, and will not allow that into your energy. And I think as you let this go, let this dissolve, it'll become more clear as to, wow, I'm very grateful that I don't have these people, that love in my life anymore. So now we're getting how you can cut these cords, which I think is important. Six of Cups, similar to Seven of Cups. So we're seeing a lot of cups here. Similar to pile one in a way as to how the Star with Aquarius, and then we have Hope. I think Hope is its own. Yeah, Hope is a different. I didn't even know this deck had an extra card. So Six of Cups, Seven of Cups, the Star, and Hope. And with Six of Cups, how you can, I don't know, I'm gonna say similar to pile one is like going back in the past and recognizing these patterns. I think with Seven of Cups, it's just saying that there's a lot more options. Like, you don't have to keep falling for this person or this type of person, that there's other types of people. And so if you've been reluctant to go back into a relationship, it's because you've only been exposed to the same two-dimensional person, you know. We have the Star, which is keep dreaming big. You will kind of wish your way into the appropriate romance or friendship even, you know. Of course, this doesn't have to just be romantic partner. It is, the card says romance, but this could be, you know, anyone who you feel. This is a, you know, general reading, so whatever you feel fills that role. But you can imagine a better person and kind of know that that person exists and not settle. I think that's the ultimate thing, is to not settle for a person who doesn't reciprocate, a person who just displays negative tendencies, and trust that gut feeling, you know, because you know it's there, but it might be subtle. And I think, especially with all these cups, part of this is trusting those feelings, trusting in spirit, as I said. I'll show you the cards. So we have Six of Cups, Seven of Cups. It's almost like the spirit guide is choosing for you, that there's a lot of options out here. The Star, and then this Hope card. And this hope does feel very romantic, you know. I'm gonna get another card for hope, and then another oracle, and then we'll close out the reading. Knight of Wands. I'll do one more. Five of Pentacles. It just feels as though, like, if you've been attracting this energy, you have the capacity to attract a different energy. And I think I've mentioned this, where you can, like, adjust your vibration or turn the dial on your energy or yourself, or whatever, you know, however that metaphor might apply to you. But you could adjust who comes to you, and knowing that you have that power will empower you. You know, seeing that it's not hopeless. It's not a lost cause. You're not destined to attract unfaithful, unloyal people. And I think it might be hard to hear it, but in a way, there is a lesson in this, in valuing your presence and your energy in a way. And yeah, this has a lot to do with trusting in the unseen messages, trusting in your gut feeling, in, I don't know, this has a lot to do with the connection to your guides, to spirit, to your gut, or to your unconscious. But there's like this connection to something or someone or your ancestors that can help you navigate again through this world with another perspective, and it'll just give you a lot more confidence. You know, look at this. We have the sacred mountain, ancestors, endurance, resilience. Yeah, very strong ancestral presence here. We have resilience, which would, I don't know, puts this into perspective with these tower moments, with this Five of Pentacles even. You've been put through this because you can go through it, and it's not a permanent thing. This mountain represents wisdom and insight, and it's clear, and you're being guided. I see that with the crows. There's a lot of guidance here. And so the future looks positive, especially once these cords are cut. And I think the best advice really in cutting these cords is really just allowing them to be cut by spirit, allowing your ancestors and these benevolent forces to come in and end things for you. And of course, we had mentioned kind of the other things you could do in the very beginning of the reading, so you can go ahead and do those if you feel drawn to. But yeah, I'm gonna end the reading there. Hopefully, I know this was heavier, but hopefully it was helpful. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't and you enjoyed this reading, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, Pile 3. If you chose the Shadow card, this is going to be your reading on what cords need to be cut and how you can cut these cords. Hopefully you can see that. The Shadow card. This has to do with how you can cut the cords. And then this Oracle card, it's the Hunter, is what cords need to be cut. And interesting with the Shadow card, first of all, I guess the timing is great for this because the next pick a card, if you're watching this as I'm uploading, the next pick a card is a collaboration with Sean Vibes, and we're going to be taking a look at the Shadow. So I think those videos, those readings are going to be very helpful for this pile, especially when it comes to cutting these cords. I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull some tarot to dive a little deeper, because I think your shadow is going to be incredibly important as far as cutting these cords. But let's take a look at what cords need to be cut with the Hunter. You have the 5, the Hierophant, Strength. What chords need to be cut? The Hermit. Page of Swords. I'm going to clarify all of these cards, actually. I knew this. I knew this one was... It's harder to pinpoint what's happening here, you know? And I think part of the reason why is because it's deep in the subconscious. Like, we have the Page of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, yeah, you know what it is? I know what it is. There's a lot of different things going on here with this pile. And I think for a lot of you, it's like the cord cutting is in a way affecting your focus. Because with this Hunter card, I don't know, what was there's a tarot deck that I don't have anymore. It's a Celtic deck. Woodland Tarot. If anyone remembers. But anyway, there was a 5 of swords or 5 of arrows in that deck. And in that deck, the 5 of arrows said, I don't know, the guy was just missing the arrows. And so, like missing the target constantly. So this could represent in a lot of ways, especially with the red in the background, kind of more so Aries and Sagittarius. Of course, it could be Leo as well, but Aries, Sag mostly. That wildfire that can sometimes be unfocused. And I think there's a secret in your shadow that can help you dissolve the cords that are... In this case... I'm just going to keep going. Page of Wands, Page of Pentacles, Page of Swords, Page of Wands. This is a desire to do a lot with this pile. Yeah, this is very strong. I mean, it could be like Gemini too, you know, where there's so many ideas, so many things you want to do, and there's short bursts of inspiration and desire, and then they immediately vanish, or there's a lack of traction that brings them into reality. And the Hierophant, Strength, and the Hermit are sticking out quite a bit. It's like it's like the Hierophant is being grounded with Taurus, in grounding the ideas that come from spirit. Strength is the, I guess, tenacity to bring those and physically make those things happen. And the Hermit is kind of dissecting where within you that comes from and why any of this would matter to you personally. But with all the pages, it's hard to pinpoint for you. So the chords aren't... I mean, with all the pages, it could be several different people. And so... And I'm noticing that it's sticking out, these circles, these spheres. I don't know if you could see the golden spheres. These are a little different from the ones that are in the rest of the cards and the rest of the deck. I'll just show you an example. How they're smaller here. And so I do think that doing some sort of ritual, like on a regular basis, kind of like a sphere of protection, sphere of light, or something like that would be helpful, especially if you find yourself, if you interact with a lot of people physically on a day-to-day basis. that would be very helpful. And that might be part of the reason why you're feeling unfocused, is because the chords aren't dense, they're not thick and immovable, unlike another pile. But there's a lot of them. The good thing is that they would fizzle away very quickly. Let's get some more cards. The Lovers. Let's clarify this Lovers card, because this doesn't really feel like it has a lot to do with relationships. Let's clarify this Lovers card. 8 of Cups. Or maybe it does for some people. For some of you, I guess all the pages could be seen as there's like 3 or 4 different subgroups in this pile, and it's weird, and it's throwing me off a little bit, because I'm seeing like a variation of pile 2 where since the hunter is what the chords need to be, like what chords need to be cut, and this is like a type of person that sees you as like a target, you know, and that would have to do with relationships, where especially the Queen of Cups energy, and this underlying strength that you have, so you're like shown as a light, a ball of light, and it just attracts a bunch of moths. But for another subgroup, it would be the pages are influences in your life that are trying to push you in a certain direction to take, as far as career, just a way of living, a way of being. And there's a lot of influence and noise, and in that case, the Lovers card would be taking you. This Lovers card would have to do with your own love and your own like this. The skull is queening the woman here. It's like that's your spirit guide. Like that's something you're doing to yourself, that you're loving yourself and you're giving yourself permission to pursue what you want. And I think that's why like the Hierophant, Strength, and Hermit card came first in this reading, and then there's a bunch of pages. And that's all in the background noise trying to influence you, tell you should do this and do that, and they'll like, as they give you this input that nobody asked for, it's like they're throwing little darts and roping you in like with a fishing hook. Fishing hook? No. We'll put a pin on that. But just little subtle influences, and they're to be swiped away or walked away from emotionally. Because, I mean, at this point it's a little cliche, but if you follow your own heart, you'll find the way to success. And I think that's why, I mean, whatever success means to you, but that's why you haven't found it, is because you haven't listened to yourself as much as maybe some of the other people in your life. And I see the Hierophant, Strength, and Hermit as personal development cards, especially in this deck, especially in this context too, in this reading. Yeah. So I guess with this hunter, you could imagine all the birds that he's trying to hit with the arrow, and imagine a bunch of people behind him telling him which bird to shoot or how to aim or to fix your elbow, and it's not really helpful. It's just getting in the way, hindering his progress. So let's take a look at the shadow. How can you cut these cords? Six of Cups again, so that's interesting. Page of Cups, King of Swords, King of Pentacles. 2 kings here. Let's clarify those. So we have all the pages in this reading, so that's interesting. Could be a lot of fresh energy, young energy. It could be children. We have Six of Cups, so there could be like a secret in childhood, a memory to reflect upon, and that might be where, especially as a child, you would know what you wanted as a child before all these other pages came in and try to tell you which direction to go, how to live your life as an adult, and so forth. Yeah, I'm going to clarify these kings. The Magician, King of Swords, the Magician, and then the Sun with King of Pentacles. Yeah, major arcana with those two. Alright. And King of Wands, and lots of king energy. Part of me is saying, because there's a few different groups of energies here. Part of me is saying that there's a need for like a divine masculine healing, or a reflection upon that energy within you, or just in your life, where it'll, I guess that's why I even mentioned the hunter being he, you know, and I think that might be where the shadow comes from too, why the shadow is part of how you can cut these cords. With the sword being there, the Magician, the Sun. It's like not being afraid to be that shadow, not being afraid to be the bad guy to other people sometimes. There's a need to be more defensive to your goals. Yeah, a very strong masculine presence, honestly. I'm going to get two more cards. I'm going to get two more cards for this. For the Magician and the Sun. Especially since Magician has to do with Mercury. That's Six of Swords. I made that face because there's a console card, which is it's an extra card in this deck. King of Swords. There's a subtle whisper of maybe going to therapy or talking to someone about something that went on in the past, or about your childhood, or even doing that for yourself through journaling, but to reflect on how you were raised, how your family has influenced you and made you who you are today. Not necessarily in a positive or negative light, but just there's that need for reflection here. Whoops. Especially if it has to do with a relationship to a father figure. Because, I don't know, this reading has a lot to do with exerting control and being in control of your life and steering your own ship now. I don't know, the Magician Mercury energy is very strong here. And even with the Six of Swords, I guess that's why I think the Six of Swords has a ship, doesn't it? I forgot. Whoops. But that's kind of what I'm getting here, is navigating your own way, even if that means leaving those other pages behind, because they are pages and you are, king, queen, strength, hermit. You're like a bigger, more mature energy, even though people, coworkers, friends around you would try and convince you otherwise. Let's get an oracle card. just to close this reading out. And definitely, again, for this pile to consider watching the upcoming video on shadow work. Yeah, bleeding heart, rawness, vulnerability, compassion. Notice. It's a male. I think that is significant here. This is a male figure. And so there could be maybe someone in your, with the console card and the two kings, someone who either it was a father figure in your life, or it could be someone who attacked, regardless of gender, but kind of your divine masculine. There's a wounded divine masculine here, and I think I had suggested that earlier, so this is really confirmation of that. And it's interesting because this divine masculine, I mean, I guess you could see it as the shadow in this case for this reading, and through healing this, doing this shadow work, that's how you're going to dissolve any cords, anything that's keeping you unfocused, because as I said with the Hierophant, there's a need to kind of direct, and not only the Hierophant, but the Magician as well, with the sword energy. There's this need to focus on what it is you want. And look, even the heart itself is kind of growing a bunch of different vines in different places, you know. It's creating, it's like the heart is creating the cords for this pile. So most of what will help you dissolve the cords, what this reading is really about, is heart healing. And I do think this has roots in childhood, so I'm wishing this pile well, of course, and but I do think once this shadow work is done, especially if you have someone to talk to about it, that it'll be a lot more apparent, a lot more clear. Your focus is going to just open up new worlds, really. And I think you'll see just how capable you are at accomplishing anything that you want. So really, it doesn't have anything to do with your aim not being true. It's more of like the equipment being faulty, you know, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. It's like if there was a manufacturing issue, but that has roots in the past, and maybe, you know, it's like a family-run business, something like, I know it's a tangent, but there is a root to this fault, if you will, in your lack of focus. So there's nothing wrong with you, but there is a need to heal and reflect. Especially the shadow card kind of reminds me of like a hanged man, doesn't it? If you could see it. I don't know. And it's at night. So just something to keep in mind. Yeah. Okay. I thought I saw a different card there, but I apologize. But you can get through this, and this reading was heavier. Pile 2 and 3 was heavier energy, but I also think it's necessary, and it's probably why you were drawn to this reading, just to even at a subconscious level become aware of some of these cords that are holding you back, so that you could empower yourself to take the actions to start clearing them. And I think you'll see just how light you'll become and how effortless attaining your goals will be. So hopefully you found this reading helpful. Please let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care.